Imagine you're sitting at your computer desk rereading the assignment matrix for the class for the 15th time, and you see the due date. It's due this Sunday. The ever-daunting literature analysis assignment that you've been dreading all semester long has finally come. A bead of sweat drips down the side of your face. It's time to get to business. My name is Kevin Bryan. I'm an undergraduate at the University of South Florida, enrolled in the College of Education, seeking my secondary education English bachelor's degree. I'm here to tell you my strategies for how to most effectively compose a literature analysis for a piece of fiction. So, you're tasked with writing a literature analysis for a piece of fiction. And just like the genre of fiction, your analysis could go in an infinite number of directions. So where do you start? Starting off, you need to understand what a literature analysis is. Then, understand how your choice of literature affects your ability to do the assignment. And then, develop an understanding of analysis and what aspects of a piece of fiction to actually analyze. Finally, you must consider the most efficient methods to communicate your analysis to your target audience. The first question I would ask is, what is a literature analysis? How do you define it? Well, break it down. Literature is a piece of written works, commonly referring to works that are long-lasting or of particularly high quality. Additionally, according to the author Selena Kush, the experience of literature is both emotional and intellectual, both felt and known. This distinction is important as we move forward. Think of books for literature from authors like Ernest Hemingway, Shakespeare, Oscar Wilde. Step one is choosing the piece of literature you intend to analyze. This process is by far the most crucial aspect for completing an effective literature analysis. This piece that you choose will dictate a variety of things. First and foremost, it will affect your enthusiasm. This goes for your eagerness to initially read the text, and it will permeate into your enthusiasm while working on the analysis and your vigor when it comes to sharing the final product with an audience. Remember, expository writing is meant to be shared with an audience. That audience will, without effort, be able to tell if this piece is something you're passionate about. And a note here for you. That passion cannot be faked. It must be genuine. This is hands down the most important choice you will make for this assignment. Think about what subjects interest you. What themes or situations do you have life experience with that will help you relate to the text? Are there any pieces of literature that you already have read and have significant meaning for you? Is there a character from a book that stands out to you for being particularly memorable? The keys here are to have the work be something that you care about, even love. That emotion will carry throughout the entire process. So now that you've chosen a piece of literature, it's time to consider the actual assignment, analysis. How you approach this is drastically affected by the assigned genre. Works of fiction. Fiction is typically short stories or novels that consist of made-up characters and events. I strongly suggest you use synthesizing as a method for using inference to make decisions. Richard Tarraco defines synthesis as a creative act that results in the generation of new knowledge about the topic reviewed in literature. So, when analyzing pieces of fiction, focus on the abundant use of literary devices. Every piece of fiction will differ in their use of these devices, but their relative importance will vary as well. However, when writing a literature analysis, I can always hone in on these three. First, themes. The theme of a text will always be a good place to start when analyzing a work of fiction. In-depth, thorough, and thought-provoking themes are the hallmark of long-lasting pieces of fiction. When looking back at any novel that has lasted the test of time, being commonly read or even taught in schools decades or centuries after its publication, one thing will always be true. The themes of the text are still relevant and introspective all of these years later. Next, I look at the most engaging and empathy-inducing literary device, character development. This is where a talented author stands out from the rest. This is specifically true when it comes to fiction. The way characters mature, change, evolve, devolve, love, break hearts, come of age, create, destroy, grow, the way they make you laugh, the way they open their hearts and minds to you and allow you to see inside of themselves. Characters become vulnerable, inciting empathy. You become vested in the lives and decisions they make as you walk in their shoes. All of these attributes and evocation of emotion are ideal for your analysis. Those aspects are the reason you find yourself going back to the same author again and again. As readers, we fall in love with the characters, not necessarily the books themselves. This is the precise reason that analysis of character development is a crucial and effective way to analyze any work of fiction, and it's certainly a good place to start. The last literary device we look at is the meat and potatoes of any piece of fiction. It's what drives the story. It's what carries the characters along. Most importantly, it's the story itself. Every event, conflict, decision, and resolution, it's the plot. Plot is an obvious choice for a literary analysis, but without a doubt a necessary one. Plot is essentially just the main events of a story. However, the plot is also the way an author shines. You see, plot is the all-encompassing literary device. The author's ability to tell a story that engages the reader and yet is nuanced enough to utilize other literary devices, such as themes and character development, is what truly makes them great, and this is the part that needs to be analyzed. When looking at plot through an analytical perspective, it's important to remember what you are doing, analyzing. Remember, analyzing can be defined as dissecting the small, unseen parts of the text to determine the larger picture. Although some summary may be necessary, oftentimes the mistake is made of focusing too much time and content on the summary of the text. A note, summarizing a text is not analyzing a text. The distinction here is vital to writing your effective literary analysis, and the trap happens all too often. My last piece of advice is to take a look at who will be reading this piece as you're working on it so diligently. I will emphasize this once more. A literature analysis is a form of expository writing, and the key aspect is that you're writing for an intended audience. Focusing on this audience and how they will interact and interpret your work will guide you in your analysis process. For example, will the readers of your work have already read the text? It may be that every student in your class is be picking a different piece, and your peers will not be familiar with the work you've chosen. If this is the case, you may allot additional summary of the plot to provide context for the themes and other literary devices. Be sure to thoroughly follow your rubric and initial instruction. These guidelines may provide you with needed audience information, or if we take this idea outside the college arena into a real-world setting, consider the age group, demographics of your potential readers. Commonly, this factor will vary depending on the platform on which your writing will be published. The main idea for this subject is simply to be mindful of who your intended audience is. More than that, you want to strive to connect with that audience. This ties into our first section on choosing a text that you're passionate about or really enjoy. That feeling will translate into your writing, and the goal is to give the reader that same feeling. And fortunately, you're able to do that because of the introspection you did during the text choosing process. Well, here we are, Sunday evening, exactly 11 p.m., and you've just finished your literature analysis on a piece of fiction. Hey, you did a great job. You took the time to get a little introspective and pick a piece of fiction that resonated with you. Your passion for that text allowed you to be thorough and effectively analyze the literary devices like theme, character development, and plot. Finally, You connected with your reader and allowed them to see the piece of literature through your eyes, giving them a personal, intimate, and thorough analysis. Well done.